Hey there folks, Wrel here. Today we'll be comparing the NS-44 Commissioner and the NS-357 Underboss, both of which are revolvers from Nanite Systems. People ask for this comparison pretty often, so hopefully we'll be able to give you a nice little breakdown of which is better for your playstyle and situation. I want to do a too long didn't watch right at the start here because both weapons deal high damage, they both make good close quarters finishers, but the Commissioner's slower rate of fire, the slower reload speed is more punishing for people who don't have good aim, or people who don't take the time to aim. Now the Underboss provides better damage per second and is more flexible given the faster reload speed, but it doesn't have the Commissioner's alpha damage. That said, if you want a more in-depth look, you can feel free to watch the rest of the video. The Commissioner and the Underboss are each 1,000 certifications or 800 DAYBREAK cash to unlock, but these weapons are quite often found bundled within game cards or in Steam bundles, that sort of thing, so it's worth looking around before you actually make a purchase. The Commissioner deals 450 damage up to 8 meters and then it drops off to 225 damage over 42 meters, while the Underboss deals 375 damage up to 8 meters and drops off to 200 damage over 42 meters. This means that the Commissioner can execute infiltrators with a single headshot within 8 meters, since infiltrators only have 900 total effective health. Outside of that though, the number of trigger pulls to drop a standard 1000 health target is the same, but the ranges at which you can pull off those kills is different. Most of the time these weapons will be used within 15 meters anyway, but the Commissioner does have the ability to pull off decent mid-range damage. For rate of fire, the Commissioner fires at about 2.83 rounds per second, while the Underboss fires at about 3.68 rounds per second, and that means that the Underboss fires at almost a full round per second faster than the Commissioner. This is a pretty substantial difference, not just because you're actually kicking out more possible damage per second, but because the Underboss is going to be better at reducing oversampling if you're spamming the trigger. Now if you're curious as to what I mean by oversampling, I've talked about it in the past, and I'll include a link in the video description. However, when you use the Commissioner, it's less about how quickly you can spam the trigger and more about placing your shots correctly. It's also worth keeping in mind that pistols in general are usually used as finishers, meaning that you'll only need a shot or two to drop your target, and because of that, the rate of fire can matter a lot less than damage per bullet. Even so, if you want a completely theoretical 3-shot time to kill against a standard 1000 health target, you're looking at about 0.71 seconds up to 25 meters with the Commissioner, and about 0.54 seconds up to 16 meters with the Underboss. The projectile velocities of each weapon are 450 for the Commissioner, 350 for the Underboss, and you won't notice this in close quarters, but it'll definitely give the Commissioner a better feel when engaging mid-range targets. Both weapons have 6-round magazines with 36 ammo in reserve, and low magazine size is definitely an issue that these weapons face. That's on top of their relatively long reload times. The Commissioner reloads in 3 seconds short or 4 seconds long, whereas the Underboss reloads in only 2.5 seconds short or 3.5 seconds long. So a difference of half a second between Underboss and Commissioner, and that's a pretty substantial difference regardless of weapon, but it's even more so given the small magazine size. The cone of fire and bloom statistics on both the Commissioner and the Underboss are the same, and interestingly enough, while aiming down sights, it doesn't matter if you're moving or crouching, the ADS cone of fire is the same. From the hip, crouching or standing doesn't matter, but moving will increase your cone of fire by a fair amount. It's also worth noting that the Commissioner and the Underboss both have laser sight options, which are going to tighten up your cone of fire by a great deal. I much prefer running a laser sight on all of my secondaries, but the dark light works pretty well on these. Another note about laser sights is that the default version of the Underboss and Commissioner also have access to colored laser sights, which you can purchase for DAYBREAK cash, but the platinum versions of these weapons currently do not, and I'm not sure if the black or gold versions do. Either way, it's all cosmetic. The Commissioner and Underboss also have access to 1x and 2x reflex sights, but optics for me are kind of a mixed bag because of the visual recoil. More so than the Underboss, the Commissioner has strong visual recoil after each shot, like the gun will pop into sight and it makes it difficult to keep a bead on your target. Unlike the faction-specific sidearms, neither the Underboss or the Commissioner can equip a suppressor, meaning that they have debatable downsides to stalker infiltrators and doing anything behind enemy lines. So when it comes to which one you should use, it depends a lot on your playstyle. I can get away with using Commissioner on a Stalker Infiltrator because the Commissioner has huge alpha damage and you can capitalize on targets that aren't wholly aware. I'd still prefer an Empire-specific pistol for Stalker Infiltrator, but this is all personal preference. As a standard sidearm for last-ditch situations, the Underboss and the Commissioner both work very well. Underboss is more spammable, Commissioner is less spammable and more punishing, but even so, a lot of the time, against a single target who is close to dead, it doesn't matter how much or how little you can spam the trigger, because you're probably up close and the target just needs to eat one more bullet anyway. It's for this reason that you really can't go wrong with a Commissioner. Between the Commissioner and your Empire-specific starting pistol, you already have a pretty decent mix between flexibility, being your Empire-specific pistol, and outright stopping power, being your Commissioner. And you can switch between either one of them based on the situation and your loadout. If you're using a shotgun loadout, for example, then the Commissioner gives you some much needed range, whereas your Empire-specific pistol may not, and the Underboss may not either. I personally prefer the Underboss instead of the Commissioner for a lot of loadouts because it is more spammable, but it still packs a huge punch. You can roast a couple of guys and then have slightly more reasonable reload times afterwards, and that fits my personal playstyle very well. If this video has been interesting, helpful, or entertaining, please feel free to like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and it's not as if these pistols haven't been out for a long while now, so do let me know what you think about them in the comment section down below. Thanks very much, folks. Wrel signing off.
Eyes open. Enemy heavy. Visual on hostile engineer.